Hello and welcome to the United Stands. It's the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference reaction for Manchester United's visit to Fulham, and it's never, ever quiet at Manchester United. There's always a big thing to talk about, isn't there? And Phil Jones, as we spoke about last night, as I predicted last night, and many of you predicted as well, Phil Jones has been rewarded with a 4-year contract with the option for a further year. It is basically the same length of contract that we were celebrating for Anthony Martial, last week. Outrage. Phil Jones outrage is what I would say from what I've looked on social media. This is without me saying a thing. Manchester United official account tweeted it around 8:30. If you look at the replies, I think some of them have... A lot of people are very, very unhappy about it. I'm unhappy about it, but I'm also understanding of it, and I want to say why. But I love Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I want him to be manager of Manchester United. And I think a life lesson is that just because you love somebody and you respect them and you think they're the right person for their job, if you're at work today or you're at school and your favourite teacher or your favourite job that your favourite boss that you respect walks into work with Krispy Kreme donuts and you think, oh, he's brilliant, and then you bite into them and they're mouldy, do you keep eating them or do you say that's not good enough to the boss? Now, some people just keep eating them because they're sheep. Some people would say, I love you, boss. I don't agree with those Krispy Kremes. What are you doing? And I think that's the situation with Ole today. And it's a life lesson that I want him to be our manager, but I have been managed by a lot of people and I've had managers of my club as well. And they will make mistakes. They will do things that you don't agree with. That's life. And in some ways, maybe use the Phil Jones thing as a barometer of that I want Ole to be the manager of Manchester United. I do, but I do not agree with this decision. But is it out of his hands? Is it out of his hands? He did say, the man, I can only advise what happens on contracts, but they're not down to me. But I think Ole wants Phil Jones to stay. I do. I've said this for a few weeks. He seems to be well liked by people like Carrick and Mike Phelan and Ole. And maybe he trains really, really well. But we'll come back to Phil Jones in a minute because I just want to throw in the positive thing that come out of Ole's press conference because I want to maintain that. And I loved the way that he said that I wasn't happy with the Leicester result. I wasn't happy with it. It was a good result. It's good to win, but it's about winning in the right way. We need to win better than Leicester. And the Fulham game is all about focus because the most important game is your next game. I said this last night. It's like you watchers. I'm only joking. He said it's always the most important game is your next game. The Fulham game is about focus and not thinking about PSG and the other games that are to come. So, yeah, very, very, very pleased with that. We're not 15 minutes late, Kane Langton. You need to get with the programme. The Ole Gunnar Solskjaer press conference is at 9 a.m. We go live straight after it. The Mers says, is it true about Jones just woke up in the US and cried? It is. I'll be talking about that in a moment because there's some significant things about Phil Jones. Well, let's just do the Phil Jones thing now, actually. My feeling about the Phil Jones contract, and I've read a lot of people in the last half an hour absolutely furious about it. I said last night, if Phil Jones is going to be like the fourth choice centre-back, okay, that's fine. But looking at it more in depth, I think this is nothing to do with Phil Jones or Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. This is again an indication, a very strong, blunt indication from the owners of our club that they are not going to invest in this football club in the way it needs to be invested to be Premier League title winners. We will not win a Premier League title if Phil Jones is playing games for us. He's not good enough. He's an Everton centre-back. He is not a Man City centre-back. He is not a Liverpool centre-back. He is not a Spurs centre-back. So why the hell is he a Manchester United centre-back? That is the blunt bottom line. He is not good enough. That is, people can say, oh, you're being harsh. The facts are out there. This is not my opinion. I can pull facts out. Over the last 5 years, he spent nearly 50% of that time injured. That is a concern. Why would you invest in somebody who spent half the time broke? It's a bad investment. The second thing is, it's proven he has cost us lots of points. Stoke away last season, Spurs away last season, the FA Cup final. They were singularly games and points and trophies that we lost because of him. And that's in the last few months. He is not good enough. He never looks good enough. He's a calamitous defender and he's injury prone. They are facts. They are not my opinion. They are facts. They are what basically everybody thinks. So why are you long-term investing in somebody like that is a concern. And when you go to the next level, it comes down to the same thing. Chris Smalling signed the new contract in December. Phil Jones has just signed a new long-term contract. Twansebe's going to come back and Bay and Lindelof are our first choice centre-backs. That's 5 centre-backs. I had somebody say to me, we're going to get Alderweireld in the summer. How the hell are we signing a centre-back when we've got 5 going into the next 2 years? We've got 5 centre-backs. Why would a business spend any money on another centre-back? We've got 5. 5. We will not be signing a centre-back in the summer. Why would we? We've got 5 and we've just invested lots of money and long-term contracts on 2 of our worst out of the 5. Smalling and Jones are the 2 worst centre-backs out of Twan-Seaby, Lindelof and Bay. Because Twan-Seaby's young and has got the potential to be fantastic, and Bay and Lindelof are better than Jones and Smalling. When you give long-term contracts to the worst centre-backs, that is a clear indication you're not clearing the deadwood and you're not going to sign anyone. So all this talk of Koulibaly, Alderweireld, Skriniar, they're not going to happen. And that's what I see from today. What this is, and Ollie can spin it how he likes and the club can spin it how they like. Oh, we believe in him. He's been here a long time. He knows how to win trophies. You need these sort of players around. What I interpret that as, bottom line, scrape the surface, this club doesn't want to invest. It doesn't want to remove deadwood players and bring in brilliant players. That's not what it's all about. As I said last night, you got Barcelona. We're preparing for Messi leaving. That's what we're signing players for now. Manchester United are retaining players that have not been good enough for the last 6 years. I mean, Ollie says, well, Phil Jones has been here a long time. He knows what it's about to win trophies. We've not won a major trophy for 6 years. Phil Jones was 20 when we won the Premier League. So what major trophies has Phil Jones got experience in winning in? And what part did he actually have in winning that title with Sir Alex Ferguson? Because if I recall, we still had Vidic and Ferdinand then. So where's Phil Jones's winning mentality of winning major trophies? In fact, let's take it away from Phil Jones. Where's Chris Smalling's? Where's Darmian's? Where's anybody that we're begging to sign a new contract? Where's their experience in winning major trophies? All right, Carabao Cup, Europa League, you've got experience in winning that. But this experience, they've been around the club for a long time. This is why many fans are talking about Deadwood, because we've been a Deadwood club for 6 years. 6 years is a long time. Look, I just think that this is about the board. It's not about Ollie. It's not about Phil Jones. This is about the board. We constantly talk about Deadwood FC and they're handing out new contracts to all of them like confetti. Smalling's had one. Jones has had one. Young's getting one. Matt is going to get one. Who's next? Darmian. Valencia, who we thought was being kicked out the club, Ollie said today he's injured. If he hadn't been injured, he would have been playing tomorrow. So all these, I mean, Fellaini's a brilliant one to remove. But what if Fellaini wanted to go and said, I don't want to be here? He wasn't forced out the club. He was like, I don't want to be here anymore. I was Mourinho's boy. I don't want to be here anymore. You know, I just worry. I worry, and I've said this before, I want Ollie to be the manager of Manchester United. But what if he is so eager to get the job, he just takes everything? Because we haven't got a director of football. Ed Woodward is the man. So Ed Woodward's making footballing decisions here. Because there is no way, like, I don't want to get into this too much because I want to talk about what Ollie said and I want to be positive about that. But Ollie might not even be the manager next season. So how can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer walk in and go, I want this contract, I want that contract, I want that contract? He might not be the manager next season. So the only person making these decisions, and people need to get this, is Ed Woodward and the Glazers. So you've got Ed Woodward cashing cheques on our future, planning ahead. And Phil Jones' 4-year contract is a good idea. It's a terrible idea. A really bad... And also, as well, why are we giving him a 4-year contract? Give him 2. And if he says no, kick him out. It baffles me, but it doesn't baffle me, and I'm not surprised. I predicted it last night. This is the club that we are. This is who we are run by. We are run by money men, and the reality is, if you look at it from a business point of view, do you sign Phil Jones on a 4-year contract that's only going to cost you a little bit more in wages? Like his wage might go up from 100 grand a week to 120. It's going to cost you 20 grand a week. Or do you kick Phil Jones out the club and spend 100 million on a centre back and pay them maybe £200,000 a week? You know, the increase is to remove Phil Jones and bring in a better centre-back, you're talking over £100 million. We would do it because that's how you win a title. They won't do it because they're like £100 million to keep Phil Jones. And that's what's happening at our club. And we all know it. We've got no ambition to win titles other than doing it by luck. We're not going to spend the money to do it. And that is the bottom line at Manchester United. Chung Lee, do we have 200 million to spend or not? And what is Poch searching for a house in Manchester? I'm reading, says Chung Lee. Waste of wages till 2023, says Pradnia. Could have been used better with a new signing. Go for a legitimate investment rather than an injury prone. I think you're spot on with that, but I think that's the problem, isn't it? This is not about Ollie. This is not about Phil Jones. This is about the vision of the club. The vision of the club is that they don't want to spend money. They want to do it with the deadwood that's already here. We're never going to clear the deadwood out. We're not. We might get rid of 1 or 2 players here and there, but this appetite that the fans have to remove the players that are not good enough, which is why we draw to Burnley, we're not going to do it. We draw to Burnley because we play these players like Phil Jones and Mata and people like that who are on the decline, who are not good enough. And that's why we drop points. But we'll keep giving them. I mean, who's next? Give Lukaku a 10-year contract. The vision of the club upstairs is poor. And the sooner we get a director of football in, the better. I personally don't think these people should be given contracts until we've got a director of football. I don't. I really don't. And as I said, Ollie might not be the manager next year. It really is a concern, and I expected it, but my interpretation of it is this: we've got 5 centre-backs now for next season. Why would the club ever sanction the signing of a centre-back? They won't. So whoever comes in, whether it's Ollie or Pochettino or Zidane, next season their centre-backs are Lindelof, Bailly, Jones, Smalling and Twansibi. And maybe Rojo. Maybe we're going to give him a new contract as well. So where's the improvement on our centre-back situation? Which, to be fair, Mourinho, who was a failure at United, he even knew we needed a centre-back. So we're not just amazing. But it's all about this. It's all about saving money at Manchester United, and that's what it is. Matic, Mata, Young, Lingard are not good enough, says Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And Ed Deadwood needs a great big slap. Jason Gillard says you wanted Pogba out as well, remember? No, I didn't. If you're going to put a comment up there, at least put some truth in it, because that is absolute nonsense. Absolute nonsense. I said if Pogba wanted to go, he should go, because we want players who want to play for the club. But I've always been a big fan of Pogba's ability, and I've always stood by Pogba when he's openly wanted to be at the club. Director of football is needed badly, says Michael Jones. We're a joke. We're an absolute joke as a footballing decision club. From Ollie above, it's a joke, and it's been a joke for a long, long time. The decisions we make about contract renewals, sales and purchases have been an embarrassment for a long, long time. But people want to look at the results now, which are great, and forget the above. When Mourinho was in charge and people wanted him to be sacked, the vast majority of United fans were saying there was 3 problems. In fact, Gary Neville said it. Yeah, maybe the manager is a problem, but there's far bigger problems at Manchester United. It's above the manager. And today is just another example of that. Disappointing. But Ollie also said that he was also asked a very interesting question about what Ollie's quotes on Phil Jones were. This is a signal to the fans that we're planning ahead. In relation to Phil Jones, I don't know whether that was a very good line to come out, but he said that Phil Jones signing a new contract, a long-term contract, is a signal to fans that we're planning ahead. Obviously not totally in touch with the fans' opinion on that. It's also a signal that we believe in Phil Jones, and he's been here so long and he knows what it's like to move up the table. There we go. He was also asked about Matic and Lingard, saying that United can win the title next year. He said it's good that they believe it, it is good that they believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe United can win the title next year with the sort of things that are going on with that playing squad. I just don't think it's good enough, and I think it needs major investment, and maybe we will get some investment in the club. But I think this squad at the moment is not good enough to win a title. Nowhere near. He was also asked if he's now putting a stamp on the club, Fellaini removal, new contract signings like Jones and Martial. He said, yes, I've got a vision of how I want Manchester United to look in the next 2 years, whether I'm the manager or not. That's what we're looking towards. Gaz Newton says Jones is better than Smalling. Totally disagree on that, but it's all about opinion. I mean, at the end of the day, you're talking about 2 turds, aren't you, really? And I know that's not a very nice thing to say, but I think when you're talking about where Manchester United should be and Manchester United winning a title, I would call it a turd centre-back partnership, because are you telling me that Phil Jones and Chris Smalling could win as a Premier League title? No. I think Phil Jones and Chris Smalling are the sort of centre-back partnership I would have expected to see at a club like Bournemouth. And maybe they wouldn't even want them. They're not a Manchester United centre-back pairing. They're not a Man City centre-back pairing. They're not a Liverpool centre-back pairing. They are players who've made a lot of money out of the talent that probably belongs at someone like Fulham. You know, I really don't. I think they're good centre-back backups, but they play too many first-team games. And I actually quite like Smalling, but he's so limited in relation to his positional sense and his ball ability. But I can understand why the club have done it, because it's all. The bottom line is all of these new contract renewals are about saving money. Let's be blunt. Ashley Young's 34 in the summer. A decent club would move him on and get better. Phil Jones, injury prone, makes too many mistakes. A big top club would move him on and get better. Chris Smalling, yeah, you're a decent centre-back, but you're moving on in age now. You've reached your ceiling of ability. You're never going to be able to bring all the ball out the back. Not really good enough. Move him on, get somebody better. Valencia, too old, declining. You've been a good servant. Move him on, get somebody better. What are we doing? We're signing him up on new contracts. And I do feel that it's sort of mugging us off to a certain extent, because so much money goes into that club for it to be spent on new contracts of players that shouldn't be at the club anymore and putting it into the pocket of the owners. That's basically what Manchester United is. And until they prove us otherwise, with competent, ruthless removal of players that are not good enough and aggressive signing of players that are the best in Europe, then I think that question mark will remain around Manchester United. He was asked about Antonio Valencia as well directly, because Valencia apparently is not happy, and this was quite revealing, because I presumed that Valencia had been told you're not part of the plans anymore and you will be going, you're not getting a new contract. But Ollie said that he actually is just working his way back to full fitness. He's had another breakdown, otherwise he would have been involved against Fulham. So he's out for a couple more weeks, but he's captain for a reason. So if you're an Antonio Valencia fan, it's looking like it's looking very good for him. It is looking very good. Gaz Newton says resale values though, Mark, like Fellaini. Yeah, but you don't sign somebody on a 5-year contract if you're looking to sell them. That's not how it works. Phil Jones is here to stay. He's not here to be sold. There is an argument to say that maybe you don't, instead of losing someone for free, you get them on a contract, then you sell them. But you don't give them a 5-year contract, because the reality is Phil Jones has got all the power now. If United was signing him on a contract to sell him, and they come up to him in the summer and said, "Look, Phil, we want to sell you," and he goes, "I'm on 120 grand a week for 5 years. I'll go and sit in the reserves. Who's going to pay money for me?" So no, that's not what that's about. There is no guarantee new players will come in and work, says Gareth Fernandez. Yes, but what are you expecting Phil Jones to turn into after 6 years? Do you think he's going to turn into a decent centre-back? I don't. What else was said? He also spoke about the importance of this Fulham game is very, very important. Obviously, I did hear something last night about Manchester United inviting Mulder representatives over for the PSG game, and there was a little bit of a hint that maybe they're going to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the full-time job very, very soon. I want Ollie to get the full-time job, but I would be disgusted with the club if they gave him the job this month. I think it would be I wouldn't be surprised yet again. Like, I'm not surprised that we've given contracts to Jones and Young. But if we were to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer the job before the summer, that would be absolutely prime Glazer decision to do something they've got no idea about. I think Ollie should get the job. But why would you give him the job until May, before May? You've got this opportunity, this breathing space to see how he does against all the big teams and see if he can get top 4. And then you'd give him the job now. It would be absolutely stupid. I do want him to get the job, but I want to give him the job based on the facts of what he's done over the 6 months in May. To give it him now, it wouldn't surprise me, but I think it'd be absolutely stupid. Absolutely stupid. Because we don't know what the reaction of United under Solskjaer is going to be when we lose a couple of games, because we will lose a couple of games and the bubble will burst. And will we be able to blow it up again, or will we then go on a run of bad performances where the honeymoon period's over? So that for me would be a big mistake, but we'll see what happens with that. I want Ollie to get the job. I do want him to get the job. I think he's got weaknesses. I think his judgment on some players is a bit off, but Sir Alex Ferguson was the same, and I think that's the beauty of football. Fans have always got a very different opinion on anybody else. My one enduring feeling this morning is not really frustration or anger that they've given Phil Jones a contract, because I expected it. It's more resignation and depression that I know and have known for a long, long time, that our club is owned by people who are only interested in profit. They don't even support the club. They just want to bleed this club dry of money. And given the choice of removing a centre-back that's not good enough and bringing in and spending money on a top-class centre-back. Anybody who's running this club like Man City run their club would do the latter. They'd go and spend the money to get the centre-back. Unfortunately, Manchester United are run by businessmen who don't support the club and will go for the cheap option all the time. And they've gone for the cheap option with Phil Jones. They've given him a long-term contract because it's cheap, comparable to removing him and bringing in a £100 million centre-back. And that is what we've seen today. And that's very, very sad. And for those who say, we'll still sign a centre-back in the summer, I don't see how. How do we do that? I mean, there is a scenario where we do it, and it's frightening. Smalling and Jones are here for at least the next 2 years because they've signed new contracts. That's 2 centre-backs. Lindelof is going to be here because he's been brilliant. That's 3 centre-backs. Eric Bailly, you would hope is going to be here. That's 4 centre-backs. Why with 4 centre-backs, experienced centre-backs, would you spend £100 million on another one? You're not going to do it. The only scenario is we're going to sell Eric Bailly to bringing in another centre-back, which for me would make me cry. That's the only scenario I see. Eric Bailly is sold and we bring in a Koulibaly. Well, that, to me, is just terrifying. Because, yeah, Koulibaly is better than Bailly, but we could have just got rid of Phil Jones and kept Bailly and had Koulibaly, Bailly and Lindelof and Smalling. I mean, Koulibaly, Lindelof, Smalling and Jones, that's my fear, is that I think what we've seen today is that the club, yet again, have got no appetite to spend that much money to make us get back to where we need to be. And if the long-term vision involves people like Phil Jones, then the long-term vision is broken. The Deadwood needs to go. And Fellaini's gone, that's a positive, but where's the rest? Where's the rest? And it all comes down to money. And I've said this before, if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you are on thin ice. You're doing a fantastic job, but you are on thin ice. And you've got Ed Woodward with the keys to the kingdom, dangling them at Ollie, saying, you can have the keys to this kingdom, but what are you going to do to make me give them to you? And if Ollie says, I can work with Phil Jones, I don't need a £100 million centre-back, good, the keys are getting closer. I can work with Lukaku, we don't need to sell him for a loss and get in a top striker. Yeah, the keys are getting even closer. My bank account's getting bigger. Yeah, I don't need a CDM. I can work with Matic and Pereira. Brilliant. That saved me another 50 million. Here's the keys. You're getting really close now. What else? Yeah, I don't need a right midfielder. Just get Mata on a new contract. You've got the keys. I've saved myself £200 million. You're the boss of Manchester United. Ollie, come on down. And I don't blame Ollie for doing it because he desperately wants this job. But will he take this job in a way that Pochettino and Zidane wouldn't? Because Pochettino and Zidane are only going to take this job because we beg them, and they're going to go, I want 250 million. I think Ollie will go, I'll do this job for nothing. I don't need any money, because he wants the job so much. And that is my concern, and that concern is not helped by today's events where we're handing out massive contracts to, bluntly, deadwood players, where we need £100 million spending on a centre-back, and we're just giving Phil Jones a new contract. It worries me. But we're in a good position at Manchester United at the moment. In the short term, we've got a manager we all love. We've got players that are playing well. The long term is always going to come down to whether this club want to spend money or not, isn't it? And we'll find out about that in the summer. But look, Manchester United Football Club are run by people who don't support our club, who bought us on debt and want to make money. That's not propaganda. That's not hate. That's not an agenda. That's where we've been for a long time. And I always say, if you're going to criticise the owners of Manchester United, it shouldn't be just when you want a manager removed. It should be during the good times as well. It should be when you're winning in 2008. It should be when you're winning the Premier League title in 2012. It should be on the night of winning the Europa League. That they have been our owners for a long time, and we've had successful moments. But I think if you have a problem with the Glazers, then you should have a problem with the Glazers in the good and the bad times. We're in a good reign of form at the moment with United. I still have a problem with the Glazers' ownership because I still do not see the evidence that they want to make us a top-class club, because they want us. Everything they do seems to be about saving money. So I am one of those fans that I don't like the ownership of our club. I don't. Because I don't, and they can change that very easily. They can start making the sort of decisions and the sort of investments that do challenges against Liverpool and Man City. But at the moment, I just don't see any evidence of it. I mean, in January, we spent sod all because we were spending. Obviously, January was spent working out a 5-year contract for Phil Jones, when most clubs would have got rid of Phil Jones and spent January bringing in a centre-back. And until the club changes that, then I'm going to always be very sceptical about the ownership of our club. Anyway, we are back live at 8 o'clock again tonight. Please do smash a like on the video, everybody, for watching. What I would say about the Phil Jones thing is don't let it ruin your day. Don't let it ruin your day. I was fully expecting it to happen, and I don't think this is something that we should be judging Ollie on. I don't think it's something we should even judge Phil Jones on. Why would he not want to stay at our brilliant club? This is about a lack of director of football. This is about people like Ed Woodward being involved in footballing decisions. He's a brilliant businessman, and he should just be focusing on getting us, waxing cream, all Brazilian waxing cream and stuff like that, brands deals. He shouldn't be involved in the player deals, and the Glazers probably give him too much power in the footballing decisions. We need a director of football. I don't think Ollie's got much say at the moment because he's not the full-time manager. That's what this is about. So we need to focus on the short term, which is the positivity around the players and the club and Ollie. But in the long term, the club need to start doing more. And will they do it? Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all soon. Drop a like on video, and I shall see you later at 8 o'clock. Thanks for watching. I will be doing Football Manager on That's Football Nishcliffe this afternoon, yeah. And my podcast goes up at lunchtime on the Mark Goldbridge channel, where I've got a big announcement for you. Speak to you later.